Hello, good evening, good day, whatever part of the universe you are on, whatever part of the planet and hemisphere you are sitting, standing, or laying down. Hello and welcome to another episode. Today, we are talking about how to make yourself a high value. Now, I'm thankful and grateful for this opportunity because the inspiration behind this stems from a few weeks ago. And I began writing a lesson and a script on how to make yourself a higher value. And it led to, present moment today that I had an empowering conversation with the women in my family. And that was very touching for me because the inspiration behind the lesson that I was making was to break down those generational, I would say, habits on not putting the woman as a top priority in the woman's life. And so I wanted to teach others how to inspire themselves. I wanted to be the inspiration so that they can be inspired. And they, meaning the women, the feminine, can be inspired into becoming a greater value. Now, for the masculines in my family, I had a great opportunity that in sharing my teachings and my wisdom, I would say, from the lessons and experiences that I've learned in my own life, to be able to share that reflection with the women in the family and having some of the male head figures, the elders present. It was a great moment with as regards to family and generations. And I could almost feel the relief of the elders of the family to say, and with this generation, there's some wisdom with some of them. Some of them we have the wisdom to carry the family. So it was a proud moment for me, because when I stepped into the role of who I am today and what I was going to be, and began walking that walk, it was just a deeper connection that I formed with all the members of the family, because a lot of times the younger generation just doesn't understand the older generation, but the older generation holds all the wisdoms to the do's and the don'ts because they've already been there, done that. They just may not tell you the details, but they've been there and done that. So I wanted to share my inspiration behind the lesson with you so that you can be inspired to be that change for your family, for the better. And so part of that was teaching the women in my family how to love themselves. And when I say family, it's anybody you would consider family. It's not just within the blood, right? Many times we get caught up in the physical labels that we forget on the spiritual level. We are all connected as a collective. I think I tried to mesh those words together. So, how to make yourself a higher value? The first step is to value yourself and to stop accepting crumbs. Now the question is this energy that is being exchanged reciprocated. The amount of energy that you are giving out to the ones that you have chosen as your partner. Now, the feminine energy is all about receiving. The masculine is that giving. So when you decide that you are coming into union with someone, you're coming into union with the idea that the feminine is nurturing this masculine, whose job is to do the masculine things of giving, providing, protecting, while the feminine is the nurturing. So when you master those energies within yourself, because you have the two, when you have that balance within the self, you begin to have a higher value for yourself. Because if you're just all about the feminine energy is just giving. Well, you can give all day long to the wrong people. When we're talking about the giving to a chosen partner, the question is it reciprocated? Is what you're giving being reciprocated back to you? Because you too need nourishment. Now that's within a relationship aspect. If you are good with yourself, you know how to nourish and replenish yourself. And if you don't know how to nourish and replenish yourself, then you definitely need to get tuned in to my health coaching program, which is going to transform everything that you need to know. I don't think you heard me. I'm going to say it one more time. This is a transformational program that's going to transform your health and mental wellness. But you know what? Let me show you. Hello, greetings, salutations, welcome. My name is Coach Samantha Andrews, and I am the founder of Omega Alpha Organization. I am a certified health and life coach who specializes in developing personal health and wellness programs. I also have a background in artistic expressions through the performing arts. So there are a few action steps for you to take in order for you to jumpstart into the next version of you, the 2.0 version of yourself. First, you can enroll into the health coaching program where you can jumpstart healthy habits and build lasting foundations to improve your health and wellness. You can also book a call for private coaching packages that target personal upgrades in all 12 areas of your life for a complete transformation of you. Or you may want to join the club membership to stay in the loop on the latest of what's happening within the coaching department and get tips on some of the productions that are happening within your local area. So many different opportunities lined up just to get you started on your healthy journey. I hope that you choose at least one just to take that action step today. And it only takes one step, one action step. Simply just join, see what it's about. And then when I see you on the other side, we can have that real conversation about getting you started with your journey. Well, until then, it's much love and peace. Mwah. Enjoy the presentation. Are you given the same undivided attention? So when you're thinking about a person who is partnered up with someone else, there needs to be the reciprocated. There needs to be the love. There's a partnership. You came into union for a purpose. You all knew the purpose when you exchanged the vows. Now, if you are in union with individuals who you have not exchanged vows with, you could see that there's going to be some confusion. Because I don't want to say you'll be totally lost. It's not. there's going to be some confusion within your energy, because once again, you yourself have to be whole. You yourself have to master your feminine energy within you and the masculine energy within you. Now, once you come to balance in their terms, we know biologically that we have a certain amount of, or we're built differently biologically from male and female. So biologically, there are certain things that one group is more dominant in than the other. But both still have to balance the masculine and feminine within them. But on the physical, when you come together, there should be a balance of the masculine and the feminine in the relationship in order for it to be a balance in the home life. So now the last question with the point of stop accepting the crumbs is, how much is your time worth? You came to this planet with a purpose. Whatever that purpose is, that should be the one thing that you are working on. And then around that, you have the other things that are affected by the one thing that you're working on that is providing. Well, in this case, let me not go around the mulberry bush. In this case, I'm speaking on entrepreneurship. If you have a career, that is one thing that you're working on because it is providing you with the resources that you're needing to provide for your lifestyle. Now, what your lifestyle choices are, that depends on whether you are overdoing it, underdoing it. Is there a balance in that? So, how much is your time worth? You can spend your time doing a whole bunch of nothing. Are you learning? So here's another thing with my 90-day life coaching program. Teaching you how to balance 12 areas of your life, because there are 12 areas of your life that create the makeup of you. Who you are, what you are, what you are capable of as a human being. 12 areas. So within those 12 areas, what are you doing within a week time span that's catering to those 12 areas? Well, like I said, you could be doing a whole lot of nothing, a whole lot of something that's not worth anything, or you could be working on something to build and invest in. So what is your time worth? Because then the next thing is, who are you spending your time with, and are they worth that time? Now, one thing I say is, wherever I go, it's peaceful. So wherever there's unrest and there's anything that could disrupt my peace, I don't force anything. When you pray for peace, you let peace come to you. Anything that falls out of the way in your life, that rejection was your protection, because now you are being provided that peace that you asked for. And whatever it is that crumbled out of your life, the who, the what, was now going to give you the peace that you asked for. And you better believe that the things, the universe, it is where it works when energy, when you talk about what energy is, even right down to how the atoms maneuver, protons, neutrons, negatives and positives, how they attract or repel each other, and how when you get these bonds together of elements, or they start forming elements, So when you think of energy in that sense, and we're made up of that same type of energy, we become the very thing that we attract. And the universe is always going to fill in the gap. That's what I really wanted to say, but it ties right into what we're going to attract. Because if you think of the thing that was lost in your life, the universe is going to replace it with something else. You want the something else that is going to be replaced with. Why? Because the something else that is going to replace with is going to match the vibration of where you are. And if you are up leveling yourself, if you are expanding and evolving your spirit, then naturally the things that are taking away from you being the spiritual being that you are, the essence that you are, everything that is pulling you back from being that, those are the things that are going to crumble out of your life. They're going to be removed. But there's also a choice in that. You will be presented with choices. Now, have you learned from your lessons? Have you learned from your experience? This is where we're talking about gaining that wisdom and understanding. Because don't think that you're going to get one without the other. When you ask for wisdom and understanding, the wisdom comes from the lessons, learning from the lessons. The understanding is knowing the perspectives of not just one, but for the many involved. So when we're talking about how much your time is worth, because I'm bringing it back, because I'm going to leave it at that point. How much is your time worth? You know what you're working up to be. You're working up to expand and evolve your own spiritual evolution. That's what we're all here to do. We're here to be better. And if you're choosing to settle, you're choosing to continue to be on a cycle that you may become the master of, but have you evolved and grown? Because there's so much more that you deserve. And you can create as the co-creator of your life. So, how much is your time worth? And spend it with those who are going to build you up and bring you up to that point. So, point number 2, do not give discounts. Raise your value instead. We tend to want to give a discount or a freebie to individuals because we care. Sympathy, empathy, whatever the case is. But once again, when you are raising your value, the ones that cannot afford you, time-wise, energy-wise, because the one that's building you down, them building you down, tearing you down, insulting you, joking about you, etc., is trying to drain your energy on an energetic level. Because all they're doing is what? Shooting you with negative daggers. So you either going to shield yourself from those negative daggers by saying that you're none of those things. You have an understanding of why they may be saying those things. But you value yourself so much that you've raised your standards that the belief of whatever it is that's being perceived or projected by others has nothing to do with you, right? You have to have that mental strength to put on that shield and armor against those daggers that are being thrown at you. Otherwise, and then here's the other thing too. If you value and respect yourself, why are you tolerating and accepting the disrespect from others? There's something in you that's saying that I'm willing to be around this energy than to be alone by myself and afraid or scared or whatever it is with your own thoughts. But if you are the master creator of your life, you know that you are never alone. If anything, you would enjoy it because then you can create the beautiful things that you can create in this life that is going to help bring about and manifest the dreams that you wanted in your dream life. So, how much is your value? What do you need to work on to raise your value? You want to build and expand. You want to raise your standards. Okay, you saw the type of relationship that you chose. Raise the standards now. Okay, you see the type of person you were back then. Will raise your standards now. You're evolving, and it's not always about, because sometimes there could be a misconception with this, because I can see you wanting, or well, I'm just going to use me. For me, before, I would have perceived that statement as, let me go buy the name brands and let me showboat. And it wasn't until I actually took an elegant course and it was enlightening, Now that's one part of evolution, because you could have been raised one way, and the one way could have been perceived as the norm. But when you start to evolve, you realize that you have to become the being that you want to evolve into. And so I had raised the standards truly to the top. Why? Because I know I'm capable. 2, I deserve all of it. So in that part of my evolutionary journey was take an elegance course. Learn how to have elegance at the table. Learn how to dress elegantly. Learn how to speak elegantly. And I have a little balance of both. But you raise the standards, and that's exactly what I'm saying. So what are you spending your time doing? Are you working on the things that you want to raise your standard to? What are you spending your time doing? What are you spending your time learning? In my 20s, I learned about hair. And that was one of the very first businesses that I started on the side, was making lace front wigs. And I couldn't understand. Well, no, I did understand, because at that point I was really good with doing my hair, and it became a skill that I monetized. Now, that skill never went away. It stuck with me. And so now, one, I can either coach, because that's what ends up happening if I go to the hair salon. I end up coaching my stylist on what to do with my hair and how to do it, because I've been doing it for so long. But you have to, are you working on those skills? And so those were some skills that actually came in handy later on, because later on in life, there became a point where I couldn't go to the hairstylist anymore. So what do you do? How do you elevate yourself? How do you take care of yourself? Do you just let yourself go? And many times I see that with some of the younger ladies that I have coached. When they can't get their hair done, they just whatever. And I wanted to inspire young ladies in particular that if you just learn the craft and skill, and over time I just accumulated certain things that when it came down to it, I was able to do what I needed to do in regards to styling and upgrading my look. Because when you're going through the breakthrough, when you come out of that fight of life and you're rolling out that puff cloud, you're not looking beautiful. You are not looking beautiful at all. If anything, you're looking a little bit on the rough side. So when you finally get that skill, you learn that skill, you're not relying on something else. You know that you can depend on yourself. And then who's to say that later on down the line you have a little baby girl, now you know what to do with the hair. You don't have to rely on somebody else to do it. But that's just part, and that's one of the 12. One of the 12 is education and literacy. How do you educate? What do you spend your time learning and do? All right, well, moving on to the 3 types of values that there are. How we honor and connect with the spirit. This is our internal value, and that's dealing with the spirit within, your higher self. There's a value in that. How you perceive to build that connection in that relationship will determine what you accept in the physical. Because once you connect with your higher self and you value yourself as your higher self would value you, as the divine spiritual being that you are the child of the Heavenly Father, when you put yourself at that type of pedestal, of course you're going to expect everyone to respect you in that same manner. But the thing is, what are you doing on the external? Are you being the energy and the essence of that spiritual being in the physical to command that type of respect? So we want to connect with a value of the internal, that's the internal being. Now, the second value is personal values, which is a reflection on what we present as our physical being. So the internal is the spiritual, external is physical values. How we dress, how we appear unto others. Now, many of us are very creative artists, very creative. But where you're talking about what group, where you're going, what your purpose is, who's your target audience, at the end of the day, we attract what we are. So, are you being and modeling on the external the very type of energy that you want to attract into your life? And are you putting yourself at a higher value, the highest value? That wherever that value is, that's where you are at comfort, where you're at peace, where you're at happiness, you're at joy, you're at love. Those are the qualities and the characteristics of the person who is at a higher value and living by higher standards. As long as you're complaining about your life, you haven't raised your standards then. You're not working towards, because you know deep down inside you deserve better. That's why you're complaining, because you know you deserve better, but you're not doing the actions towards better. You're just going on the recurring cycle. So at this point, when are you going to step off? Now, last value is the collective value. Are you the expression of cross-culture and the spirit? The fundamental principles of this expression are love, nonviolence, truthfulness, righteousness, and inner peace. So, at the end of the day, when we're working towards the collective, because that's where we're trying to work towards, is unity amongst the human race. At this point, we are divided and it's a little outdated. And so we have the new souls that's coming in, that if you notice, these millennials, Gen Zs, etc., whatever the next group is called, these groups are coming in with the mindset that some of the things that the elders grew up in were ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. So what you are seeing is the transformation that these upcoming generations that are coming up, they're coming in with the mindset of unity already programmed within their spirit. They just have to continue to change the way. Now, it's the ones that the elders that are hanging on, or who want to hang on to some of old traditions. And this was something else brought up, was when we're talking about parenting, sometimes as parents, we'll end up unconsciously repeating some of the things that we hated as kids when we were growing up with our own parents. And I was fortunate to see some of the things of it playing out within the generation of family, because the one thing that I complained about was the one thing the next person complained about was the one thing that the other person complained about a deceased ancestor. So at some point, this is a cycle, apparently. So when you become consciously aware of that, you realize now, with that wisdom that you just learned and the knowledge that you've gained from that, you can be the person to make the changes. But the person who does not see it becomes an unconscious cycle, repeating the pattern, and the children will repeat the same complaints that you complained about. And what do we end up saying? Well, I grew up doing it, I came out all right too, right? That's the belief of some of those individuals who fall under that category, who are unconscious on what they are doing. And like I said, having the ability to see that as a reflection helped me understand from multiple points of view. So if you are interested in any of what I'm speaking on, then this program definitely, the life coaching program, is definitely the route that you may want to take, as far as helping you break down the 12 aspects of your life and really transforming yourself. And as you transform each aspect, by the end of the program, you will have a total life transformation. So I definitely, if you're interested, then please use the links, follow the description, make sure you sign up. You'll be given all the resources that you are needed. And don't forget to join the membership as well. So I got one more point. I take that back. 3 more points, but they're short. And the third point on how to make yourself a higher value is to stop giving yourself away for free. Your time is in exchange for your happy feeling. You want to be happy all the time. Who came down here on this planet to experience misery and suffering and pain and agony and sadness and anger for all the day longs? Who did that? Because if that's how you feel about your life, if that's how you're living, you should be thankful and grateful for everything. And something that comes to mind is, the things that we tend to program ourselves, the things that we tend to snoop our noses into, be curious about, listening into drama, watching drama on the television, or watching even just the news. Sometimes when we're talking about bad news is delivering those things that are going to put you in an emotional state and make you feel bad, and then makes you want to do something else, as far as, if it's pumping fear into you to say, I need to up my security protocols. If it's something of sad, or you push a judgment on a certain group of people. These are the things that are being portrayed. So when we're talking about time in exchange for energy, we're talking about time in exchange for the happy feelings energy. Whatever you are spending your time doing, you should be happy doing it. Because anything that you're doing that's not making you happy, you're not happy doing it, there's a problem, there's a disconnect, there's something that needs to be fixed. Then your energy and your essence is something that is of a hot commodity for you. Your spiritual being is based off of the type of energy that you're producing. If you are in a high vibration, you are producing the energy to connect with your spiritual essence. Or you can go through the extreme of having something extreme trauma happen to you to the point where you are begging to connect with your spiritual essence. Either way, guess what? Whatever route you take, it's still going to lead you back to connecting to your spiritual essence. So your energy, how are you using your time and your energy and your spiritual essence to connect with your spiritual essence? Well, I'm using my energy to be on the peaceful and blissful side of things. And that's how I'm going to stay connected to my spiritual essence, because you can continue to go through traumas. And if the trauma is what gets you closer to your spiritual essence, then you're going to continue to go through that just to be connected until you realize you're the controller and the creator of your life. Every action you do is a step towards better. And if you're not making the actions towards, or the steps towards better, or the actions to do better, to evolve into better, then you're wasting your time and you're wasting your energy. Number 4, get comfortable with being alone. Being comfortable with being alone saves most individuals from being caught up in a narcissistic style relationship, because your neediness and dependent, you become codependent on individuals who then have the upper hand and control over you. So being comfortable with being alone is that you feel safe, you feel secure within yourself, that you're the one that satisfies yourself. When you are codependent on someone else for some pleasure. Now, pleasure doesn't just come from having intimacy with another individual. You can have pleasure and indulgence in other things. But when you become comfortable with yourself, you find great pleasure within yourself. I hope that that makes sense, because what I'm doing is I'm working up with the chakras, right? You're all about secure. Then the next thing is all about feeling with guilt and pleasure. And when you are intimate with somebody else, you are commingling with that energy. And in some cases within that DNA. So you're getting a whole bunch of energy exchanges on a whole bunch of levels, on a spiritual, mental, and physical level. You're getting exchanges. So when you're exchanging that type of energy and information with individuals, there needs to be some point of detoxing yourself from that energy and cleansing yourself from that energy, because we don't always know the baggage that comes with that soul. You don't know the types of traumas that individual may have endured or encountered, and you are absorbing that energy. And the more you are engaged with that, the more that becomes a signal to the universe that this must be a union right here. But if it's a union with someone who is not equally yoked to you, it's going to be a very chaotic, messy, confusing union as it progresses down, because neither of you will have that understanding as to why, because you didn't take time to understand yourself. You didn't take time to understand your family. You didn't take time to understand your spirit and what your purpose and goal was. So, last point. Start challenging yourself. challenging yourself is raising the standards, because if you're comfortable, you're just comfortable, and you're going to stay at that comfortable level, and it's going to keep rotating. Your cycles are going to keep happening. And if you don't know what I mean by cycles, for those of you who have been tuning in, I love you for doing that. Thank you so much, because you would already know that journaling is going to reveal certain patterns within your life. And in this case, when I journaled for 3 years, I realized just how much cycles are repetitive, and even down to the people that come within the cycle. So when you journal and you realize that your life is on cycles, you want to up-level yourself. You want to get off the cycle, because you don't want to have to keep going through the same thing over and over again. So you're doing something to up-level. So what are you doing differently? And so that's where the challenges come in. And challenges are you raising the standards and the vibration of what you are currently on. It's almost like you're the master of this level, yeah. Okay, but there's other levels to go. You have to go through the next portal to get to the next, and then the next. You can't stay stuck on this one level collecting all the goodies and the coins that keep popping up. It becomes redundant. So you're going up these stairs, and the analogy I give is that you have a stairwell leading up to your desired dream, desired destination, this doorway, this portal, and the steps of getting there to that dream life. Some of those steps are not revealed until you get closer to that point where it needs to be revealed. If you're standing on the first floor, can you actually see the steps on the 7th floor? You can. You trust that it's there, but you can't see it. You can only see the steps that are before you have to turn and walk up some other stairs, and turn and walk up some other stairs, until you eventually get to the destination. And so when we're talking about raising the standards and you're challenging yourself, you have to come with the mindset and understanding that the challenges are going to come in having faith, hope, and belief that you are on the right path of the steps that you're taking. And the steps that you're taking is working at the pace on where you can produce. Because I've understood there were many points in my life where I would have a goal set in mind. And this is before I began going with the flow of life. Because I go with the flow. But before going with the flow, I was on a strict routine. I mean, A, B, C, D, all the way, strict routine. And the resistance, sometimes I would have resistance that would come up, because whatever was becoming the blockage from hindering me from pursuing whatever route I was on, I would be frustrated with those challenges or those blockages. And really, in turn, it was those things that were the signs that you need to be redirected. So once I started being in tune with those signs, when I proceed, it becomes easier moving forward. It becomes easier to decipher what's the right path, and it goes with the feeling, because your psychic sense is one of them, is the feeling, the intuitive feeler. So when you think about what an intuitive feeler does, and I'm rubbing my belly, I don't know if it can be seen because all I can see is the light right now from the production props, but I'm rubbing this area because this area is the solar plexus region. This area deals with your self-worth, and it is the core when we're talking about in the health field. It is the core area that filters out all of the things that come in the body that you consume. So, and it distributes to wherever it goes, but this is the area where it rests. So when you're thinking about the type of foods you eat, you want to eat high vibrational foods so that you can distribute out higher vibration to your body. But when we're talking about your psychic abilities of the feeling, you are feeling, what is that positive feeling? Because there are many times when something doesn't feel right, your spiritual being is warning you through your body, and your body is already going to know this doesn't feel right. It's going to give the signal. You would know the signal because maybe something that happened where you said, oh man, if I would have listened to my gut feeling, I wouldn't have been in this situation. And so when you learn from that, that's learning the wisdom. When you learn from that, that becomes a tool that you use, that moving forward, whenever that feeling comes back up, you know that you don't have to listen. You don't have to go that direction. Matter of fact, you can go ahead and go the opposite direction and go on the right path, on where you will know. And that's being tuned into yourself in order to have that knowing. So, and I'm thinking back, I want to make sure that I hit all the points when we're talking about the values. We've learned the internal values, the external values, and the collective values. So I hope that this lesson inspired you to increase the value of your well-being, and not just in life, but even in your health. Because as I mentioned before, you want to treat your body, your external well-being, with the utmost respect. And some of the things that we choose to do with ourselves, it contradicts the type of respect that we expect from ourselves. We have to become that being on who we inspire to be. So I hope that this lesson motivated you and inspired you to increase your value and become a better version of yourself. Well, I am thankful and grateful for this moment. My name is Coach Samantha Andrews, and if you would like to find out more about the Omega Alpha organization, then please visit our website in the description box below. You have been a pleasure. If you are listening up until this point, I am thankful, and I cannot wait to see you on the next episode. With much love and peace. See you at the next one.